Hello, everyone, and welcome to Idle Insights. I'm joined by Jason Charles Miller, and there's a lot going on with Jason Charles Miller. First off, Bardic Inspiration soundtrack is going to be on a bunch of streaming platforms next week.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Glad we were able to, get that to happen.
Yeah. So what all are we going to see in that soundtrack?
So you're going to hear the 17 songs that we've recorded already, including the Idol Champions theme song. So we've included that in Volume 1. But Volume 1 and Volume 2 will be available on Apple Music and iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. And then we're going to roll it out into more stores in a few weeks after that.
Perfect. And are there any key ones that are your absolute favorite that are being included?
Well, I mean, I stand by Gelatinous Cube, till the end. Like, that's just one of my favorite songs, just because a song about a gelatinous cube is so ridiculous, right?
Right. We've kind of discussed this process for Bardic Inspiration before, but like, what is it like working with like the community and fans and Dylan to create a song in an hour or less?
It's super fun. 2 hours or less, just to
2 hours.
not to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it sound like superhumans. Although we have done it, we have done it before, where we've actually written a song in like 45 minutes. It's super fun because what we do is, we'll pick. Hey, this week we're going to write a song about mind flayers. Okay, what should that be? Like, they're, with all of the spaciness and let's make it sound like Pink Floyd. And then we're like, okay, it's going to be a Pink Floyd style song. What are some of the things about mind flayers? And then the chat will just go crazy with, the chat will go wild with ideas, and it will be so fun to just pick through those ideas, start, let's think of a melody, let's think of a line, and it's so we've done, I think, 67 episodes so far, and I look forward to it every week because it's so much fun. And it's literally like walking out onto the edge of a cliff and hoping that your foot will hit a bridge, but we always do.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. That's the thing. Like, it kind of terrifies me. Like, I get a lot of things, but I don't know how you manage to do the show every week.
It terrifies me a little bit too, but it always seems to work. So I guess, one day, maybe, perhaps, something will go wrong, but so far it hasn't.
Perfect. Are there fan favorites that have stuck out the most that you think are going to be on these soundtracks?
Oh yeah, I mean, people like, and what's cool is, I know that people that play Idol Champions, of course, they can hear it in the jukebox. But what I'm excited about is to get all of these songs out to all the Dungeons and Dragons fans who might not play Idol Champions right now, but they're all potential Idol Champions fans. You never know. But that they'll start sharing these songs and be able to, to have, like, if there's a song about mind flayers, that these songs are now out there that sound like completed, modern songs that I dig.
Yeah. And you've had some recent news, right? I saw on Twitter you are now with a new record label?
Yeah, I just signed a deal with Golden Robot Records, which is an international label headquartered in Australia. And so we're going to be re-releasing I put out 2 albums on my own in 2001 during the lockdown, called From the Wreckage Part 1 and Part 2. And so we're going to be combining those into From the Wreckage Deluxe. And it's going to be a new album. We're going to be releasing vinyl, and the owner of the label basically came to me and said, I really love those albums, but because you put them out on your own, I really feel like they didn't get a proper push, a proper promotion. So let's re-release them and really promote them right. So I'm really excited about that.
What is it like when you have a person who's been playing a character for some time and they watch you create a song about that character? That's gotta be like a different kind of energy than you would get from like a crowd, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, we could take it for when we did Brimstone Angels with Aaron Evans, and making her cry, but tears of joy. But just like, I can't believe that these characters that I wrote about are now in song form. Or when we had you on, and we had your character that you've played in so many different forms. I mean, is it you have like basically a different class form of
right, yeah, out of
him.
necessity.
Like, here's the warrior version, here's the warlock version, here's the sorcerer version.
Yeah, that very much came from you keep on going from table to table, and everyone needs a different class, and so I just got used to changing it all the time for whatever that table needed. I was in LA and people needed that character to be a cleric, so I'm like, yeah, fine. I'll do trickery domain. So
yeah,
that's why that character has so many variants. I'm pretty partial to the Whittle song myself.
Whittle Bit Evil.
Oh god, that worked. That turned out so nicely. You and I got to, I wouldn't say work together as much as I was like, can you do this thing? With Legends of the Multiverse, that did exceptionally well.
Yeah, thanks. That was really fun. You're just like, think Queen's Flash Gordon and Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, on it.
It was, yeah, that was all my input too, and then you delivered.
I'm glad that you liked it, because I went in full steam ahead with it, and I was like, well, if he doesn't like it,
yeah, it's hard to walk it back.
To the drawing board.
Yeah,
that has happened before, where I've been hired to write a song for somebody, and they're like, ooh, that wasn't what we were expecting. Can you try this? And then you got to go start from scratch. But sometimes that happens.
I have a question, like, because you're a dungeon master and you're a character, you play characters as well. Have you ever written a song for yourself, for your character, to find that character in any way? Is that too strange?
Well, I mean, see, Brig Hellclaw, we wrote a song on Idle Champions, and also I wrote a song about Brig and Tyza, who is Amy Dallen's character, when we were on Sirens of the Realms. But I haven't really written a song about like a character that I've played in a campaign for him to find or about him, because I feel like characters are always extensions of myself. The thing about Brig was that was a character that Satine had created and then handed to me to play.
Yeah.
So it felt a little bit more detached, but any character that I create from scratch, I think, is a little bit, it's almost, I feel like I'm being egotistical if I write a song about them.
Right, no, I get that, yeah. Is there something in particular about D&D that is a nightmare when it comes to writing songs? Like, because you have words like illithid, you have nautiloid.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't rhyme with anything.
Yeah.
So I say include that in the middle of the rhyme. Don't try to rhyme with it.
Yeah.
Like a world full of, because nothing rhymes with orange. It's just a world full of oranges.
Do you remember a single, like, most difficult moment for a song? Where you were just, like, banging your head against the wall?
No. I mean, in general, like, sometimes there are songs that you just get stuck on for a while, and then you have to leave them be and then come back to them. And I have a lot of songs like that. I think when I'm writing for myself as an artist, I sort of have the idea in mind of like who and what I am as an artist. So I would say, well, I would never say that, or I would never sing that, or I wouldn't sing that type of song. Whereas if I'm writing for someone else, or if I'm writing like we do on Bardic Inspiration, it's a lot easier to just write for the sake of the song rather than think about yourself as an artist. I'm a lot more picky when I'm writing for myself.
Gotcha. What is the most enjoyable thing about writing for D&D when it comes to the music? Is there something that, like, is there like a kind of a genre you were settling into, or is the fact that you can like jump into multiple genres that maybe you wouldn't have explored?
That's the most fun for me, is that we can pick a new genre every week, and of course it's still going to have my signature on it, but there's a lot of freedom to just picking a different genre every week and being able to just let it all out. And then that really is writing for the sake of the song.
Perfect. What? Oh, let me think. I have a lot of questions about what you do because to me, like I am not that musically inclined, so I'm always stunned when you're able just to do things. What do you have any songs that were on Well, you've already mentioned that. What are some of the songs that you, whether they're on Bardic Inspiration or you've done for a client or yourself, that you're like the most proud of?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I often say the most successful song that I've ever had as a songwriter is probably the silliest song I've ever written. And that is for a Disney movie called Teen Beach Movie. I co-wrote a song called Cruisin' for a Bruisin'. And that ended up being the single to promote the movie. And the cast sang and performed the song on Good Morning America.
Oh, wow.
In the scene in the movie, which you can see on Disney Plus now, there's 60 people dancing and singing to this song. And it's just sort of surreal that me and a few other songwriters just sitting in a room, we came up with this song that ended up being this giant hit. It got nominated for a Radio Disney Award, and it went platinum. But it's a silly song, about it's basically Johnny Be Good crossed with the time warp. They go back to the 50s and they surf out on a big wave, and then when they come in modern times, and then when they come back, it's like 1959 or 1962 or something, and so all the songs are from that era, and but we were writing for a very specific purpose, for a very specific scene that someone wanted. And so there was no pretense. There was no, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do this. It was just like, this is what the characters would do. And so there's some freedom in that. And I mean, I'm proud of it in the success that it's had, but also, and the doors that it's opened to, which is great. And the sort of clout that it's given me to have written a hit single. But, artistically, it's very silly, but at the same time, I don't think that it would have been a success if we all hadn't had come together and just decided to write it for the sake of what it was needed for.
What is there something you're shooting for as an artist? Because you have such a massive body of work. Like, what makes you excited for a project?
I think that any as an artist, any song that I think like is a direct reflection of me as a person or what I'm feeling, I think I'm most proud of those songs, because even if it's something that I felt at the time or needed to be cathartic to get out, that's what we as performing artists need and thrive off of. It's not we don't do it for any kind of goal. We do it for ourselves as artists. So if people end up liking it, great. But those are the ones that I'm most proud of, that I've come up with something that I know is uniquely me and represents me, and then also that people can identify with, I think is very important. Like, with my old band Godhead, we got letters and emails from people that said, oh, this album really pulled me through a tough time. I was going through a rough time in my life, and I listened to your album every day, and that's really like what guided me through it. And I, am touched by things like that, because it makes you feel like you're making a difference in somebody else's life, which is why we're all here, right? This is why we're on the planet, to make a difference in other people's lives. So it's very satisfying in that way.
You've been a dungeon master for some time. What do you find satisfying about that? Like, and what have you learned from that? Because you've done this for a bit.
Being a dungeon master, I think what I've learned from it is I've learned a lot about like human motivation and reaction. But I think what is satisfying about it is really it's another form of entertainment, and being to entertain my fellow players. Streaming is one thing, playing privately is another, but being able to keep people entertained and engaged, and to forget about their troubles for a while, and to just dive into this world that I'm helping create, I think is very satisfying.
And we talked about this before, but you're very accomplished at teaching people D&D as well. You were on Geek and Sundry. You had a fantastic show, which was like one of my favorites, actually.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, starter kit.
What do you think is the key? With you knowing that, what would you say to dungeon masters or players who are trying to teach someone? What's your advice to them? Is it like patience? What do you think are good tools?
Not necessarily patience, but just imagination, and like be fearless. Don't hold anything back. Like if it's something that you're inspired to do, like just let it out. And I think that's the key of being, we all get self-conscious and we all have self-doubt. But what I say to dungeon masters who are just starting out or have played for a long time is just don't be afraid, period. Just don't be afraid, because you're creating that world for the players. They're engaged. They want to play. They're there because they want to play with you, and you're making their world a little bit better for a little while. So, be happy in that, and don't be afraid to go as detailed as you want. And what I would also say, though, practical advice is check in on everybody. Make sure that that if there's a player that's dominating the table, make sure that everyone gets their say and everyone gets their turn.
Yeah, that's a good point, because like sharing that energy, like D&D isn't like one person is the star, not even the dungeon master. It's a lot of yes anding as well, right? It's a collaboration.
Yeah.
How do you encourage collaboration?
I try to find a good breaking point, like a good breaking point in what a player might be doing. I feel like other players need to be involved, and then I'd be like, okay, well, what do you think, or what are you doing at this time? To always kind of keep that round robin going of collaboration.
Now, you've been doing Bardic Inspiration with Dylan for a long time. What has that collaboration been like? Like you guys spitballing back and forth?
I think the only episode where we didn't complete a song was episode 1, where we got together afterwards and completed it. All the other episodes, we've completed the song in the allotted time. And I think it's made me a better songwriter. It's turned Dylan into a songwriter. And it keeps me on my toes and keeps me fresh for writing other things, and it's also taught me, because we only have a 2-hour time window, you can't second guess anything, because if you do, you run out of time. So you got to make decisions very quickly, and I think that's transferred into songwriting for other projects, or songwriting for myself without an audience watching. It's made me trust my instincts more, because instinctually the first thing that pops into your head is usually the best thing.
What is it? I cannot imagine, because it's very different energy. Like performing before a live audience and performing before Twitch. What's kind of the energy difference between that, right? Like one probably just hypes you up, and another is like a little bit more personal, I would expect.
Yeah, the difference between Twitch and live performance, they've really merged in the last few years for me, because I used to be very intimidated by Twitch, and now it's become second nature for me. And what I noticed was in my first show back after lockdown, but because I was doing Twitch twice a week and sometimes 3 times a week, is that when I got on a stage, it was like nothing had changed. It immediately felt like it was in the before times, because I had been on Twitch the entire time playing, knowing that people are watching me, and so it helped me be more engaged with the audience live once I was back at a venue.
What is it that you specifically love about writing and performing music? Before the pandemic, I would come in and out of cons and you would be performing just like nonstop. Well, not nonstop, but you are this ever present person. I have found, like, just going to like nerd conventions and comic conventions and stuff like that. It's always a delight to see you, but like, I guess I'm not really asking a very good question. What has it been like to be like embraced by this nerdier side of the community?
Well, I mean, these are my people, right? Like, we're each other's people. It's like I've been a nerd my entire life, and I'm happy to be embraced by the nerd community. But I also feel like I've helped build it myself from being involved in the early days of Geek and Sundry, and then streaming on various shows on Geek and Sundry and then beyond. I feel like I am lucky enough to have had a hand in shaping the landscape of it, and I'm super thankful for that. And so I feel like it, as much as it belongs to everyone else, it belongs to me too. So I'm happy to be there with everyone and sharing it together.
I know we're running out of time. I'm curious, what's your favorite Dungeon Master moment? You've Dungeon Masters for some like famous people. You've Dungeon Mastered all kinds of adventures. Like, what do you have a favorite moment?
Yeah, I think my favorite moment, honestly, is on the Gax Pack, which is a show I do on Luke Gygax's channel. I decided to have a lot of fun, and because I'm a musician, I'll write a new song every week for the adventure, so that at some point, they, much like a Rankin Bass cartoon, they are going to encounter something that sings, whether it's a monster that sings or an inanimate object. And they encountered a boat that when they pressed a button, the boat sang. And watching all of their faces light up during this song, where in the most ridiculous thing in the middle of a dungeon that this boat is singing to them, that just, I don't know, it cracks me up to this day, and it still is one of my favorite Dungeon Master moments.
Perfect. And so, well, I mean, thank you so much for being on the show. I know next week, May 18th, is when Bardic Inspiration goes live on several streaming platforms, including Spotify. Where can people find you? You've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitch, so Jason Charles Miller is my Twitch channel. And then, of course, every Tuesday afternoon, I'm on the Codename Games channel. And the rest of the time, if you just type my name into a Google search, you'll find all my socials and my website and everything like that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.